Hello, I am Uncle Mike, and this is Space Xbox, my Kerbal space program career on the Xbox One, trying to put Kerbins on the surface of Duna, just like SpaceX in the real world is attempting to put humans on the surface of Mars. And in Mission 7, we had an issue with the Science Junior surviving re-entry. And so we are here in mission 8, and what we are going to do is we are going to go around the mun, satisfy a contract, get that, I think, 50 science with the Science Junior, because I think we've worked out the kinks of how to get the Science Junior to survive re-entry. So let's go ahead and go right into the VAB. There is going to be no build briefing and build video here for mission 8. It is just going to be a flight video. The Phoenix Beta Mark 8 is ready to go. That is what is going to take us to the mun here. So let's go ahead and get to the launch pad. Let's get the mun into the right position, so at least we can do a mun direct launch here. So let's go ahead and get on the launch pad, see where the mun is in position. So the mun is over there on the other side, so we are going to go ahead and do some time warp. So I will see you once the mun is in the proper position. All right, so now the mun is in the right position. Let's go ahead and get ready. So staging is go, throttle is set to 100 and go, SAS is go, Jebediah is go. We are go flight, so we go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff here as mission 8 to gather science from around the mun, which is also a contract that we still have to satisfy, because in mission 7 that science did not survive. Pitch program is commencing. We are at 70 meters per second, 700 meters in altitude. Pitch program has commenced. 090. We are shooting for the mun once again here to get that science back to Kerbin. Pitch program is nominal. Everything is looking a-okay. 3 kilometers in altitude, 200 meters per second. So again, we are trying to satisfy a contract and also get all of that science from around the mun, so we can start looking at doing some bigger rockets. Woo, almost got out of the flight envelope there. Got a little bit of a roll, 10 kilometers in altitude. I'm off the pitch program just a little bit here. 2 G's. I'm having to fly it here a little bit. We got to roll. 16 kilometers in altitude. Everything is looking a-okay. We're coming up here on booster cutoff and separation. 21 kilometers in altitude. Prepare for booster cutoff and separation. We are go for the mun. Continuing the pitch program. Pitch over and shoot for the mun. 30 kilometers in altitude. Everything is looking a-okay. Jebediah's got a good ride going on. 35 kilometers in altitude. We are pitching over. Shoot for the mun. Again, purpose here of mission 8 is the same as what it was in mission 7, which is to gather science. We need to be more successful in returning that science back to Kerbin to satisfy the contract and to get all of that science so we can unlock in the research and development tree. We can unlock new components to make bigger and more powerful rockets, so we can actually start to think about landing on the mun. Alright, everything is looking a-okay here. Jebediah's got a good ride. I like the trajectory. Let's check map mode here. Everything is looking good. Continuing just to stretch out our trajectory to get an encounter with the mun. Well, then we can get that science, return it safely back to Kerbin, get that science, unlock some new stuff, get ready for mission 9. Alright. Looking good. Here is our trajectory stretching out there. Stretching out. Looking good. Everything is looking good. Fuel at about 20% left here in the main stage here. I think is looking good. Alright. We're going to come out here. We're going to set up for a free return. Here we go. And there is our encounter with the Mun. Let's go ahead and tag the Mun periapsis, and let's go ahead and get that down low here. There is now impacting the Mun, but we want the free return, so we're going to continue to add delta V here. That way we get a free return. We just go figure 8, slingshot around the Mun, and return. So everything is looking good. So let's go ahead and get our Kerbal periapsis here down. Because one of the other things that we are going to do here. All right, I like that. One of the things that we are going to do on our return is that we are going to go into an orbit around Kerbal and then descend and re-entry rather than doing a direct re-entry from the Mun. Let's go ahead and get rid of this big booster here. It will follow us around the Mun, but let's go ahead and get it away from us. And now I will see you around the Mun. All right, we are around the Mun here, and so to satisfy that contract, that is what we want to do. Is so let's go ahead and get this Science Junior open up. There is that 50 science, which we knew for mission 7, just didn't survive. So let's go ahead and close those doors. Go ahead and zoom in. I think we've probably got some science we could probably do and gather some. Yeah, there's 4 science there. I think though we've already taken pressure and temperature data. Yes, we have. So let's go ahead and just not use those. So there we are around the Mun, looking really, really sharp. But that is the mission here. The mission in mission 7 and now here in mission 8 was just to get the science around the Mun and return it safely. So I will see you at re-entry. All right, we are back at Kerbal, descending down here to our periapsis around Kerbal. What we need to do is we need to design a maneuver to go ahead and put us into a mostly circular orbit around Kerbal, and then we'll do another burn and re-entry. So, all right, so let's come back over here to our periapsis. Let's go ahead and design a maneuver for reference. So a very simple maneuver. It's just going to need to be a retrograde burn. Go get the apoapsis and that periapsis to flip. That way we know that it's roughly circular orbit. So there they are flipping right there. So there is our maneuver. Go ahead and get the vehicle rotating to the maneuver reticle, which is the blue here on the nav ball. So just a nice easy rotation. And then we will go ahead and time warp over to that maneuver, do the burn into a circular orbit, then do another burn for re-entry. Then we should be golden, because we are going to rely fairly heavily on Jebediah's expertise now with his level 1 abilities to hold us in retrograde, to allow that heat shield to do its work and to stay oriented to protect that Science Junior. So all right, let's go ahead and warp to that maneuver. All right, we are now here coming up on our maneuver, our retrograde maneuver, and this is one of 2 maneuvers that we will be doing. The first one here is to circularize our orbit around Kerbal. Then we'll do a re-entry burn. So, all right, SAS is on. We are holding on our target. We are 20 seconds away from engine start and the burn. Everything is looking good. Staging looks good. Everything looks good on the nav ball. Jebediah looks good. We are go for orbit insertion around Kerbal. So, and activate the engine. Whoop. There we go. We're going to be a little late on the burn, but luckily this is not a very precise burn. All we want to do is to get into an orbit around Kerbal, which means we're going to take off quite a bit of our velocity right now. So everything's looking good. We are about halfway through our burn here. Fuel looks good. We got 50% fuel remaining. We're going to have plenty of fuel to do these 2 maneuvers here. And again, 2 maneuvers. One is to just get into orbit around Kerbal. The other one is going to be then to go ahead and do re-entries. There we go. So let's go ahead and get rid of that maneuver node. So there we are now in an orbit around Kerbal. We're coming up on periapsis here. So let's go ahead and design a maneuver now that is going to get our periapsis to about 40 kilometers. So we're at 70. Here comes, we've got a pin. Here's a maneuver, 48 kilometers. To about 40 kilometers. There we go. So now we've got a maneuver, another maneuver here in 3 minutes. And it's a very, very small maneuver because we've already taken off quite a bit of our speed to do the circularization of our orbit, to insert into our orbit around Kerbal. All right, so I will see you at the maneuver. All right, we are 1 minute away here. We are periapsis here. Right now, apoapsis is only 73 kilometers, 73.5 kilometers. So we're almost to the atmosphere, but this is just going to be a very small maneuver. What we can actually do is we can go ahead and take off the maneuver. And what we can do is we can just go ahead and pin our periapsis here and just do a burn. And when that periapsis then gets to 40, we'll engine stop, separate, and go home. All right, we are burning here. Going to 40 kilometers. There we go, 40 kilometers. We are now going home. Let's go ahead and separate. We've got our resources up. Everything's looking good. We've got plenty of battery power. So now what we're going to do is we are going to, since we have Jebediah leveled up to a level 1 pilot, we are going to rely on Jebediah's expertise to keep the vehicle oriented using SAS in retrograde. So there we go. We're going to let the computer and Jebediah keep us in retrograde, which should allow then that heat shield to do its job and to protect that Science Junior with that precious 50 science that's in there. Go ahead and time warp. I will see you in re-entry. All right, we are in re-entry at 50 kilometers. Heating effects are coming in. Jebediah and the computer are keeping us retrograde. So really now becomes the work to monitor our resources here in terms of the heat shield and our electrical charge, our batteries. So that way the computer and Jebediah can keep us oriented in retrograde. So everything's looking a-okay here. 48 kilometers in altitude. No real G-forces because we really haven't hit the thick part of the atmosphere. So I'll see you once things get exciting. All right, so there we are now in the thick part of the atmosphere, 35 kilometers in altitude. There was some heating going on there just because I was time warping. But as soon as I came out of that, Jebediah and the computer got us into retrograde and held us on retrograde. Those went away. So it looks like we are good with re-entry. So that's what I should have probably been doing here in mission 7. But now that we're in mission 8, everything is looking real good. The blader material there on the heat shield looks good. Electrical charge looks good. Position looks good. Holding in retrograde with Jebediah at level 1. Jebediah, he's a beast. Holding us in retrograde, so everything is looking good. We're about to come out of heating as we're passing through 1,400 meters per second, 25 kilometers in altitude. We're landing in the dark, so I really can't see what it looks like, but I have a feeling that we're probably going to have a splashdown again. But we can always go into the cockpit. Okay, why are we no longer on retrograde here? All right, we gotta check that here in the future as to why we're not being held in retrograde. Something has failed here, and I'm not sure why it has failed. But all right, let's turn off SAS. We don't have to worry about heating effects anymore. I think we need to look at the vehicle after this in the debriefing. So all right, let's go inside the cockpit. Looking at that radar altimeter. Since we're in the dark, we're going to fly by instruments. 3 kilometers in altitude is when that radar will come alive. So all right, how we doing? All right, 12 kilometers in altitude. So for some reason there, the SAS wasn't able to hold us in retrograde there once aerodynamic effects. We might need to look at our reaction wheels and boost their power, since we have plenty of battery power for these types of maneuvers. So all right, 8 kilometers in altitude in the cockpit. Everything is still good. We're above 3 kilometers in altitude. Oh, I can see land now, so we are going to have a landing. We're coming up. As soon as that needle comes alive, we are going to activate the chutes, which is right now. So chute are activated and deployed. Everything is looking good there. Looking good. So we are just about at 100. So I'll see you on the ground. All right, we are less than 100 meters from touchdown here. Not sure if this is the Highland, so we will check to see if we've got any science that we can gather from here once we touch down. What happened? Why did that fail? No! No! Everything was perfect. 0.7 science. We've already got the science from here. What happened? Why was the descent rate so... No! No. All right, well, got to say that it was a disappointment, but we did satisfy the contract, but we are still just having some problems getting science back to survive. It still is an issue here, but we did earn some science. We did earn some money, so we do have future flights. Let's take a look in the debriefing, just see where we stand here on what we want in the future, because we did unlock some things. We unlocked that stuff in the previous, so we can start to do some rendezvous in space. Really would like to get these heavier engines here, because we already have the bigger fuel systems here. We just haven't purchased them yet. So that's what we're going to spend on heavy rocketry. That is what we're going to spend our science once we get to 90 on, because yeah, we're ready to ready to go. We need some bigger engines and some to get us farther, maybe even get us to the surface of the Mun. So not sure really what happened there. Everything was looking great, so still got a little bit of an issue getting that Science Junior to survive, and so I'm not really sure what happened there. So, but all right, well, that was mission 8. Still got an issue with surviving science. So I'll see you in mission 9.
It's so beautiful, you and me. We're meant to be.